What happened in the previous chapter was that Mashle managed to kick Order in the head. However, it appears that he was able to stop it using his stand magic. When Order attacked again, a large hand blocked his attack. It was revealed that it was done by the immortal Kane, Renatsu Revel. He explained to Mashle that Mashle was given permission to proceed to the next stage. That stage was the Tri-Magic Athlon Divine Visionary Final Exam, where currently 3 elite magic schools would send 3 candidates each from their respective schools to participate. After that, Domina was shown, a student from Wakis, who had beaten up the students of St. Ars even before the exam began. In the next scene, the day of the final exam arrived at Easton Grand Hall. There, the participants were introduced, but when St. Ars was called, they did not appear. The host announced that he had received a letter saying they would withdraw. Domina then showed broken wands with the blood of the St. Ars students, which made Finn realize that she was the reason why they didn't show up. Domina spoke and threatened our protagonists that they would be next. However, it turns out they didn't care, and they were just having a party on the side. What's up, Onii-Chan? Welcome back to our manga recap series about Mashle, Magic and Muscles, a story that combines Harry Potter and One Punch Man. So, let's start the video. In the continuation of the exciting story of Mashle within a world full of magic, we come to explain that there are 3 elite schools existing in the magic world. Easton, where humanity and compassion are taught along with magic. St. Ars, where justice is valued and those who violate the law are severely punished. And Wakis, where power is most important and magic is studied and strengthened to even the highest level. Over the past 100 years, Easton has produced 11 visionaries, St. Ars 4, while Wakis has produced 85. This shows a clear gap between the 3 schools. We return to the present where one of the schools, St. Ars, has dropped out of the exam. The host announced that the letter said, "We of St. Ars relinquish our seats to Wakis." People were surprised by this. Suddenly, Domina spoke saying their intelligence was shown in their decision to drop out after realizing they were not suitable to be visionaries. And in the end, they accepted the offer from St. Ars. Because of this acceptance, they added 3 more students from Wakis. 3 new students from Wakis appeared. Domina explained that visionaries represent the pinnacle of magic. Easton, which emphasizes character, supposedly does not count among the qualified. Likewise, St. Ars, which emphasizes law and formality. And they, the 6 from Wakis, would participate in the competition to prove that they have the ability to be a divine visionary. While the 2 schools were facing each other, an intense aura developed in the place. Dot then yelled, saying it wasn't right, and instead of 3 schools competing, it had become a 3-6 fight. Finn became worried and said that while Mashle was indeed strong, if they all attacked him at once, he might be defeated. Suddenly, Mashle spoke and considered that if there were 9 of them there, and 3 dropped out and 3 were added, he concluded there were 18 of them. He was really silly. Because of this, Domina stared as the people were to fight about how Mashle came up with that answer. He stated that it didn't matter how many he had to beat. Domina then commented on how brave Mashle was. Mashle explained that if possible, he didn't want to fight, but he said it was for Regro and his friends. Domina realized that it was for the people important to Mashle, and he understood that. But courage alone would not help him defeat Domina. Their abilities were decided at birth, he said. At this, Mashle was puzzled, so Domina further explained that he was right, wasn't he? When has it ever happened that a younger sibling surpasses their older sibling in this world? And if he thought about it, Mashle had no magic, so what could he fight with? He asked what siblings Domina was talking about, because the only family Mashle had was Regro. Dot pointed out to Mashle that he was the son of Innocent Zero, so perhaps Domina was referring to his siblings there. Suddenly, someone spoke from their side. It turned out to be Kingris, who had something to say to them while severely injured. Because of this, Mashle and the people there became alarmed. Kingris could no longer stand, so he knelt. Mashle quickly went to him to see if he was okay. While catching his breath, Kingris explained to Mashle that those from St. Ars had been defeated by Wakis, and they had also cast a curse on their families. They did not want to give their positions to them, but they chose their families over their school's honor. As he held on to Mashle, he said that they had disgraced themselves. In the end, because of this, he asked for forgiveness for their defeat against Wakis. Our protagonist was just staring at him. Kingris pleaded with them to defeat Wakis because they couldn't represent them at the top. Suddenly, one of Domina's companions spoke and said he disliked liars, and he claimed that Kingris' words were dirty lies. He asked if it felt good for him to come there, talk about pride, and apologize, but giving up to protect his family. He said that was a weak move and he would never do that. If Kingris wasn't ready to fight, he should back off immediately. He suddenly attacked Kingris, surprising Mash. Our group immediately rushed to counterattack, but Lance and Dot were instantly covered with a dark substance. Because of this, they wondered what was happening. He explained that they were to be isolated while the rest of them caused havoc. The men ordered his companions to charge, and they immediately attacked using their own magic. All of their attacks were aimed at Mash, and before long, they landed. Because of this, Finn and Lemon became worried. Smoke surrounded Mash, so the man assumed he was defeated. However, when the smoke cleared, it showed that the attacks were blocked by dolls and musical notes. Someone from the side then said it didn't seem fair for it to be a 6 vs 1 match. Everyone looked in that direction, while Finn and others couldn't believe what they saw. Margaret, Abyss, and Abel arrived there to help Mash. Mash laughed because Abel was still talking to his doll. Abel explained that the three of them would join Team Easton. They didn't have the qualifications to become divine visionaries, and they were there to support Mash and represent their school. They said it wouldn't be fair otherwise. The students from Wakis were just staring at them. One of them asked who they were. Margaret explained that they were Mash's fam, to which Mash denied. The man seemed to want that. Mash clarified that they were familiar, but they were not fam. If they claimed to be friends, then they would be the first to die. The man quickly attacked Margaret and asked if she was ready. The people were surprised as Domina tried to stop her teammate Galuf. When the man thought that Margaret was a pushover, she cast magic on him. Because of this, the man halted his attack. Margaret explained that it was the power of the family, while Mash countered that they weren't related. Galuf said that Margaret seemed to have some fight in her, and suddenly something brushed against Margaret's shoulder. Margaret wondered when Galuf had attacked. Domina instructed Galuf to back off for now because even she wouldn't leave without getting a hit on Margaret. Domina said she had heard rumors, but it seemed like it would be fun to fight Margaret, even if she was on a different level. She said to go ahead, and she would let Margaret join in. Margaret seemed to take up the challenge and emitted an extraordinary aura. Abyss just stared at that. Suddenly, a voice shouted, saying they shouldn't make decisions by themselves. They announced that they would discuss with the Bureau about the addition of Easton's participants. As for the tournament, it would be held the following day in a different location. In the end, they also announced that this was the end of the opening ceremony for the Divine Visionary final exam. As they were walking out of the venue, Mash called out to Abel. They had fought in the past, so why was Abel helping him? Abel explained that he was doing this to repay his debt to everyone. Mash was confused and asked if he had lent him money. Abel said that it was more important than money, so Mash wondered if it was like a cream puff. In the next scene, Mash was playing cards with Abel, Abyss, Lance, and Dot. Abel explained that Old Maid was perfect for building friendship before a battle. Abel asked Dot to draw a card, and when he was about to pull a card from Abel that wasn't a joker, Abyss suddenly jumped behind him and put a knife to his throat. Dot was shocked and thought that Abel didn't want him to draw that card. When he changed the card he was holding, Abyss moved away from behind him. When Dot tried to draw the 5 of hearts again, Abyss came back behind him. Because of this, Dot was forced to draw the Joker card and thought he didn't want to play the game anymore. Abel told Abyss that he was embarrassing him, so he apologized. As Dot thought about it, this was the most violent and unfair game of Old Maid he had ever played. When Mash drew his card, he noticed that he had picked the Old Maid. Mash was said to be at Poker Face, so Dot noticed it. Dot was confident that he would be fine because he was up against Mash, and at first glance, he already knew where the Old Maid was. When he tried to draw it, Mash seemed to be tightening his grip on the card to prevent him from drawing it. Because of this, he got angry at Mash and said that it wasn't fair. Lance suddenly scolded Mash and said that as his classmate, he didn't want him to grow up to be a cheater, which Mash agreed with. Mash was really childish because he was scolded because of that. Abyss talked to Mash and said that their final exam seemed to be tough. He explained that the 6 students were very strong. Abel asked his doll if it was stronger than him, and Lance and Mash said they couldn't defeat it, which Dot found annoying. Abyss explained again and said that Walkus' focus on strength had benefited them, and they should be careful with these two. Abyss introduced them to the eye patch person, Levis Rose Quartz, the son of the chief of the Bureau of Magic and a former student at Easton. Dot was surprised and asked Abyss what he meant. Abyss explained that he had behavioral issues. Levis was expelled after nearly killing a teacher over a dispute. That teacher was an alumni of the magic security of the Bureau. Even when he was only a first year, he was considered a prodigy because of his strength. He didn't expect that he would transfer to Walkus. And the most dangerous of their opponents would be their leader, Domino. He couldn't control Levis if he didn't have strong powers. Walkus had a winning record against them, so they can't let their guard down in their battle. Because of that, Dot swallowed nervously, realizing just how strong their opponents were. Despite all of Abyss' explanations, Mash remained unaffected and instead suggested they play a game of BS, to which Abel and Dot agreed. In the next scene, at Innocent Zero's base, Innocent Zero is seen reconfiguring his body. Damin arrived and reported that what they had been waiting for was approaching, and it turns out that Innocent Zero was her father. She said that she would make her father's dream reality because that's why they were alive. But Cell seemed to have done nothing. The scene showed Cell struggling and lying on the ground. Domina asked him what his goal was. He wanted recognition from those stronger than him, but that never happened because the world was full of weak creatures like Cell War. Was that right? She asked as she attacked him. His face was cut and a massive amount of blood spilled out as Domina said that because he was so weak, she would kill everyone for him. While all this was happening, on Mash's side, the friends were just playing a game of BS. In the end, it was explained that only 2 days remain until the start of the tournament. And there the video ends. So Domina is Mash's sibling, right? I wonder who's stronger, the youngest or the oldest sibling? Write your comments down below. If you want more anime or manga recaps, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with new videos.